Oh, hello there. Yes, it's Sunday. It's dark. The birds are singing, though, so presumably they know something's about to appear. Yes, anyway, Sunday. Revelations over the last few days, in particular being picked up by The Guardian about the government's desire to ban strikes effectively in the public sector. The Guardian reports that there are sort of the options that we have now in terms of minimal service levels are the kind of most watered down version of what the government wanted. They want basically to have an outright ban. The kickback for that was supposed to be that there would be an independent review body for pay, which we've supposedly had for a long period of time. But I think what people are starting to realise is that the independent review bodies for pay for about the last 20 years have had their terms and conditions dictated to by the government, who usually go, no, we just can't really be asked to afford it. So I don't really think that the unions are going to be very happy about that. This definitely shows a kind of direction of travel. The problem the government have is that they're hamstrung by the notion of those pesky human rights, which tend to get in the way by, allowing people not to be forced to work. So it's likely, therefore, that they will bring in these kind of minimum service levels, which will sort of guarantee a level of trains or teachers in any given situation. The problem with that, of course, is that how on earth do you enforce that? I don't see how you could have teachers on strike who then have to go to work. How does that work? You think about an average school these days, they all tend to have just slightly less teachers than they need. So what kind of minimum level of service do you have? Bearing in mind you have sort of certain legal responsibilities for the number of children in a school, the number of adults that are there. So how does that work? And the answer is, well, it doesn't. The idea is that teachers can go on strike, but they still go to work. Train drivers can go on strike, but they still have to drive trains. The likely result of this, if magically this gets to pass, which I don't think it will be that the government will suggest independent pay bodies to definitely be independent. The problem is that we theoretically have those at the moment, and they're not independent. The government dictate the terms and conditions, and if they just decide that they don't want to award a pay claim to people, they simply don't do it. They've been doing that for, as far as I'm aware, for about 20 years now. The flip side of this in terms of employers, the government might well give employers and other people the right to sue unions. And again, you can see that happening, and you might well sequestrate union funds so that they can't operate. But again, how do you stop people striking? How do you physically make them go to work? Do you starve them out? What do you do? Do you think that's a viable thing? Because I really don't. Can you imagine how autocratic, if nothing else, a government would look with the idea that they would simply, starve nurses back to work? Assuming, of course, that nurses go on strike en masse. And what do you do then? Do you fire them all? It just becomes monstrously silly in its own right. And it might be an idea, perhaps, if this government, could actually decide to actually talk to human beings about things rather than trying to play hardball and win, because I don't think they will. Anyway, that's a Sunday. Better go and try and find my pussycat. Have a lovely day.